today on Online for Authors, I'm chatting with Susie Black, author of The Case of the Croaked Coach. Welcome, Susie.
Thank you very much, Terry. It's lovely to be here.
I am super excited to have you. Loved the book. Before we really dive in, though, why don't you tell me a little bit about what this book is and what readers are going to find when they open up the cover?
Well, the book is about the premise of a series, and this is the premiere debut title. The story is about a young lady who is an investigative reporter in high school, and she stumbles upon the murder of an absolutely corrupt, hated football coach. And another student is accused of the murder, and it looks bad, but he didn't do it. And despite everybody telling her to mind her own beeswax, she doesn't.
Right.
And she ends up solving it for the police. But I don't want to give the rest of it away.
We don't do any spoilers on this show.
It is a very funny book. And it's something that, I was a little concerned about because I'm an adult. I didn't write it as a kid. And I didn't really put it out as a book for, young readers.
Right.
I put it out for my readers.
Absolutely.
And you know what? They loved it.
That's one of the questions that I had for you, actually, was the fact that, your main character is high school. And often when we have a main character that's in high school, we consider it a young adult fiction book. Yes. And that's not how you have it put out there. And I'm curious as to, did you have anyone pushing you to maybe try to do young adult, or what made you stay away from it? Like, what made you decide, I don't care that my protagonist is a high schooler, I'm still going to make it an adult fiction?
Well, my background is in sales, and you got to go with what you know and who you got. And my readers are not those readers. Right. I don't have a lot of high school kids reading my books, I don't think. Maybe their moms and grandmas are, but not them. And I, as you can see, I'm not quiet, shy, and demure, and I put up a fight. And finally, the publisher said, okay, fine, it's your funeral.
Right.
And now they have said, okay, maybe you were right.
How have your readers felt about jumping into a character who is a teenager?
I was very nervous about that. Yeah. But so far, knock wood, it was very, very well received. I mean, the reviews were remarkably wonderful.
Fantastic.
The biggest issue I had in writing it, this was the hardest book I ever wrote. Because, how far do I let my protagonist get into trouble? What danger would she get into? What adults would even talk to her about whether they were, the killer? And I had to create adult characters as her support system.
Exactly. Yeah.
And she has a group of friends called the Young Yentas, and she bounces ideas off of them, and they're not afraid to tell her that she's full of hot water. But it was a real challenge.
I can imagine it was, because like you said, you want it to be realistic. I mean, it's not a real book, but you want it. I mean, it's a real book, but it's not a real situation, but you want it to feel, you don't want it to feel fantastical.
Well, that's exactly it. And I, in so much as I was the adult, I tried to think, all right, I'm a parent. What would I think if my kid came home and said, this is what
they're going to do? Right.
I'd lock him in his room.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. That is very interesting. So Hannah is, I'm going to say she's a little bit nosy, but it's couched as, I'm a journalist. Right. So she kind of goes in and she asks questions and says things and does things that other people can't. And I'm curious, is she modeled after someone you know?
Me.
They say write what you know, right?
They do say write what you know. And I was the editor-in-chief of my high school paper, but before that, I was their investigative reporter. And I actually did break open a really big scandal and got a very nice award for it. Fortunately, I never found anybody dead. So I used the foundation of my experiences as what would happen if that really happened at school? Because the coach was sort of patterned after the football coach at my high school. I mean, he wasn't quite that bad, but he was pretty bad. He was a philanderer. I mean, all of the bad things that man in the book has as characteristics, this guy in the real life, he had a bunch of them. So I just sort of, when you create your own world, it's lots of fun. You can really, if a guy is a jerk, you can make him a major jerk.
Right. You can definitely amplify that.
Boom.
I love that.
Fun.
Right. I am curious, are you a plotter or are you a pantser?
I'm kind of half and half.
Okay. So tell me about that process for you.
Well, I have in my mind, when I'm going to write something, I have the basic plot. I know who the killer is going to be. I know who the victim is going to be. I know who is going to be wrongly accused. We're done. I don't know how I'm getting from point A to B to C. And I have learned the hard way, I might add, of having my characters take me from the middle to the end. But there are rules. If they can't change the ending, no matter what they want to do.
Yeah.
And if I don't like what they've done, I fire them. And they're very motivated to do a good job because I've made it very clear that I can either kill them off or write them out. So generally speaking, that is the point where I stop being a planner and being a pantser and crossing my fingers and my toes that they do the thing the right way. And so far, once again, they have.
Well, good. I love that idea that you're a little bit of both. I'm very much a pantser. I'm still looking for a method of plotting that will help guide me. My problem is I'm a real rule follower. So if you give me a guideline, it then turns very rigid for me. And then I can't pants anymore. I become just too. So I'm trying to find something, and I don't know, maybe I never will. And that's fine too, because I'm doing okay. And I like the way I do things, but I think it would be easier on the back end if I did a little bit of plotting to begin with.
Well, that's, in my opinion, I think that, I mean, if you looked at what I call an outline, you'd go, that's not an outline. I'll list, the characters.
Right.
And I should send you the outline of the manuscript I'm working on now. You'd burst out laughing. You'd go, you call that an outline? What are you, nuts?
So maybe you're more of a pantser than you think.
I think I probably am.
Yeah.
But I'm sort of a control freak in that respect. So
well, the one thing that you do differently is I never know the end of my book. So I get started. I have no idea where we're going. And I've been as far as 68,000 words of 82,000 word novel and still not been sure how it was going to end. And that gets a little scary.
It's exhilarating and terrifying at the same time.
Yes, it's kind of like riding a roller coaster. You're both excited to be there and wish you were off, right?
It is. The last 3 manuscripts that I've written, I've noticed a change in myself. And I don't know whether it's because I have more confidence in myself or less. It's one of the two, and I haven't determined which. But I can sometimes sit there and say, I finish a chapter and I go, now what? And I literally don't know what to do. And a author colleague has said, well, when that happens, just put a blank sheet there and sit in front and just type, even if it's gibberish, because eventually it'll come to you. And I thought, okay, she was right.
Yeah. For me, I don't do it that way, but I go take a long walk And while I'm walking, I'm thinking through possible scenarios. Like, I wonder what would happen. And it would be like, yeah, it doesn't sound good. And all of a sudden it'll be like, oh, now I know. So it's similar, except I'm just doing it in my head.
You're right. Now, some people think in the shower. Some people think while they're driving. I am a walker. I walk 5.5 miles a day, not all at once, but during the course of the day. And I do my best plotting while I'm walking. Of course, I do a lot of walking in the house. We live in the desert, and I will tell you, most of the 6 months out of the year, it's a blast furnace. My prayer is to never go out until after Halloween. So
I can understand. I live in North Carolina along the coast, and in the summertime, especially July and August, it's brutal.
I knew from your area code where you were from.
Yeah.
I'm one of now I used to, in my other life, I was a traveling sales lady, and I traveled the southeastern states. I traveled Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, and the Carolinas. Decades ago.
Yes. So you knew the area code. You said, "Oh, that's North Carolina."
I said, "Oh, area code." I know that's North Carolina.
Yeah, absolutely, and it can get brutally hot.
You're near Raleigh?
I understand. That's the phone number that I have was when I lived near Raleigh. I've now moved to the coast. So it's not quite it would be a different area code here now, but that's okay. I kept the same one because it's easier than changing. You know how life is. But anyway,
I never remember it.
That's true. I've got one. I'm keeping it. That's all I know. When you're thinking about your books, because you write a series, and I've never written a series, do you have plots in your mind for several books, or do you just work on the one and then you hope to come up with another?
For my very first series, absolutely yes.
Okay.
For the Hannah White one, I have titles.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that they will translate into an actual plot.
You're hoping that title will become a plot, right? That's
it's like watering it. You're planting a seed and praying, oh, please, let something happen here.
Right.
But generally speaking, it does. I'm in the middle of writing book number 2. And this is another one where, first of all, it's requiring a lot of research.
Okay.
And I'm in my first series, it's about the industries that I spent my entire career in. So there was no research. You called up somebody you used to know, or, hi, I'm writing a book now. Oh, am I in it? Really? Okay, cool. But in the Hannah one, the second book is the case of the dead drug dealer. And it's taken some time to do the research of what drug issues there are in high schools. Are there any? And, schools are not so excited to talk about it either.
No, they're not.
So it was kind of like pulling teeth to get any information. So I made it up.
Well, you can, after a bit, you can get some basic information, and then you have to kind of, right? So how do you feel about research? Some authors love it, and some authors, they just do it because it's a must kind of thing. Where do you fall on that? Google
is my best friend.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in the third series that takes place out here in the desert, the first one was about date palm trees. Well, we have them, but I don't know anything about them, so I had to learn about them.
Right.
In the second one, there was a big monsoon, which, believe it or not, we have them out here in the summer that comes up from Mexico and just drops a ton of water, not where I am, but further east. Mm-hmm. And I had to learn about monsoons and what wake they leave. Oh, it's a messy, messy thing. Oh, it's terrible.
Right.
So yes, I am of the ilk of never having to do it before. All of a sudden, ew, I don't like this.
Yeah, I'm a research junkie. I really like it, and I have to remind myself I'm a writer, and so the research is for a reason. Because I could get really, I dive in and it's like, ooh, that's cool. And then before long, I thought I was here. I'm way, down the road on something that
See, that happened to me for the exact reverse reason.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. What I thought, I have an author friend who was a horticulturist for the state of Oregon. And I sent it to her and she says, you don't know much about palm trees, do you? And I said, no. She said,
I don't.
It shows. You can't write this. Okay. And she says, here, look this up. And I did. And I sent it back to her. She said, okay, now you can keep going.
Now you can go from there. Well, and that's always good to have someone in your life that can point out. I read a short story from someone, and it was about being in a hurricane. And they live in the Midwest, so they've never been in a hurricane. And they were talking about boarding up the windows. And they were on the inside of their house, boarding up their windows. And I read this. I read this. I know. I read this.
And
I said,
put the tape on the inside.
And I said,
my family lived in Florida for 40 years. I know from hurricanes.
Right. And I said, well, this story is really, it's a good story. However, you're going to have to make them outdoors. Like they can't have fallen inside boarding up their windows. That's not the way it works. And so it is interesting because you only know what you know.
That's exactly right.
And in her mind, well, she was putting up boards so that the glass didn't come flying in, not thinking about the fact that if you put the boards on the outside, then the glass doesn't break.
Not only that, she would be adding to the inside barometric pressure and the house could go kaboom.
Right. And all the things that having not ever been in one. And so I think it's really interesting in fact, I think it's really wise, especially if you're writing about something that's a little outside of your normal, to give it to people who know better. So that they can point it out to you and go, oh yeah, Terry Hun, that doesn't work. There's no way that anybody would ever do that. And it's like, oh, well, okay.
Now, I have certain rules for myself, and I'm in the process of breaking one of them, and I'm going to go back and it's always easier to overwrite and then make it smaller than make it too small, and then you got to add a bunch of stuff. Right. So my rule of thumb is that there has to be a body no later than page 50. I'm on page 53, and the body has just been discovered, but they don't know it's a murder yet. Right. So I got to go back and say, okay, how much do I have to take out? Right. 10%, please. Only. Right. Yeah. And really, like you said, I think that it's easier to take some out because you can look and once you've written it, you can look at it and say, okay, this can be told later. It doesn't have to be told now. This could be later in the story. This doesn't have to be told at all. I spent 2 days writing the most hilarious thing. I mean, I laugh at my own jokes. I'm like Red Skelton. Or I yell into my husband, Larry, is this funny to me only, or is it funny to you? It's very funny. Okay. Are you just trying to shut me up? Yes. But I had, there are 3 characters. It's the protagonist and a camera person and the producer of this news show. And they're talking about their names. And it was very funny how they got the names they got. And it broke the rule of, does this progress? Does it advance the story forward? Yeah. Not a single word. So you know how they say you got to kill your darlings? Yeah. Oh. So I took them out and I sent them to another friend and I said, I had to take this out. It doesn't do anything. She says, no, don't throw them away. Use it for marketing. They're hilarious. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or maybe a short story that you can then point to, that kind of thing. So, yeah, no, I agree with that completely. Let's talk just very briefly. You have another series that's out and you have one coming out. Why don't you give us the premise of the one that's already out? I think the protagonist's name is Holly, right? Right. The series is called the Holly Swimsuit Mystery Series. Okay. And it is based on my decades-long career as a ladies swimwear executive in the apparel industry. And there was a prequel called Rag Lady, and it is the loose story of how I got into the rag business. And then that kind of led into all the murders. And she is a murder magnet. And up until the very last one, which will be coming out probably the first quarter of this coming year, all of them were based in Los Angeles at the California Apparel Center. And I sort of have a formula in a very unformulamatic way. She has a group of friends that are the Yentas, hence the other one with the young Yentas. And almost everybody in the group has been accused of murder. And she miraculously, that protagonist, she gets them out. But they're all based on people I knew. And I have to tell you, it's very cathartic to kill off people that you really did not like in real life.
Yeah, and then you just get rid of them, and it's like, whoo, that felt good.
my son is a psychologist, and I tell him, honey, you should use this as part of your therapy. Have them write a story and kill off the person that they hate the most. I'm telling you, you feel much better. Take that.
Take that. Watch me. I've got all the power.
Right. Now, the very last one, the latest one, the girls go on a field trip. They're in Miami for the annual swimwear market. And of course,
there's going to be a murder because
there's got to be a murder.
Right. Absolutely.
But
absolutely.
It's probably the easiest series that I will ever write because everybody is based on somebody I knew.
Right.
And if I didn't like them, I made them really bad. If they were my friends. And now I have people who call up and say, I read the book. I don't see me in it. How come?
It's like, wait a minute. So I wasn't someone you hated or liked? Where was I in your life? Right?
Their feelings are hurt.
Right.
So that is the basic premise of that series. And the third series is a complete departure from anything I've ever done, including the protagonist is a completely different physical person. I'm 4'8", so is Holly Schlivnick. She is me and I am her. But in this latest series, the protagonist's name is Sunny Knight, which I thought was pretty clever. But
yes.
Not everybody thought, oh, gee whiz, what kind of a stupid name is that? I said, well, I don't know. I liked it. But in any event,
that's good. I like it.
I thought it was kind of tricky, to tell you the truth. But she was an investigative reporter, and she reported something that a big advertiser didn't like and wanted to yank all their advertising out of the whole company. And they said, well, no, we'll just send her away. And they send her to the smallest affiliate in their entire company. It's a TV company. Mm-hmm. And she's in the middle of the desert. Now she arrives and she thinks that she's still going to be an investigative reporter. But the owner of the station says, you're here in the middle of nowhere. We don't have anything to investigate. So it's hot here. And you're now the weather girl. She was not happy. And I think that given the way of the world right now, in all three of my series, I give my readers one gift, and that is the gift of laughter. Mm-hmm. And it's very important to me. While there's nothing funny about a murder. Well, some of mine are pretty funny, but overall, when you say humorous murder mystery, people go, okay, what do you mean? I mean, it's kind of an oxymoron when you think about it, but life is funny. Yeah. Some of the stuff you can't make up.
You can't.
What's going on in our country? You can't make this stuff up. So I think that I'm an entertainer as well as an author. If somebody says, somebody once asked me in a podcast, what is your definition of success as an author? Yeah. And I said, well, knocking Janet Ivanovich out of her perch would be really good. But in
of course, right.
But in so much that might not happen, if somebody says to me, I stayed up all night and read your book, I couldn't put it down.
Yeah.
To me, that is the cherry on the sundae.
Absolutely.
Somebody says that to you as an author, you're done good.
Yeah. Yeah. I went to a book club not too long ago, and there was someone there who said, can I read this one passage out loud that touched me? And it was like, oh, sure. And so she reads this little piece, and then she just kind of holds the book to her chest and said, oh, that just touched me. And I thought, isn't that amazing? Like, there's that part of me going, I wrote that. Like, she was touched by something I wrote. There's a beauty to that. Or if someone says, this character made me laugh, or this scene made me cry, or whatever it is, to know that as the author that you evoked that kind of response. It's just a beautiful thing.
I think that is the greatest compliment. Yeah. And it is also the greatest responsibility that we bear.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about what you're writing. So I know you're writing more in this series with the Hannah White series. Yes. Then you're also working on in the Desert series. What is that? What is that series called?
That is the Sunny Night Mystery Series.
Okay, the Sunny Night Mystery Series.
Right.
Do you have other ideas in your head, or do you force yourself to just stay?
I do, but I make myself type them up and make a file and say, don't go there.
Yep.
Slap your wrist. Say, no. Focus on this.
Right.
And
right.
Most of the time I accomplish that goal, but not 100%.
I have the same thing where I'll get an idea and it's like, I can't do this right now. Like so I write enough down that I know this idea that came to me, and then I put it in my ideas folder. And it's now you just stay there and be quiet until I'm ready for you.
I don't know about you, but for me, if I turn off the computer and I have this little ceremony that I say, because I'm a night owl, so I'm up late writing. And then when, my eyes are crossing, I say, okay. And I kind of look up and I say, okay, presumably tomorrow is another day. And don't you know, the minute I turn the damn computer down, the darn computer down. I have a potty mouth. I'm sorry about that. But the minute the computer goes black, 5 ideas come up, and I either have to write them down or I turn the damn thing back on again. I don't know. Do you find that?
I don't notice it when I turn the computer off, but my ideas come to me, and I am in a space where I can't do anything about it, like driving my car. How am I supposed to do? So I've put an app on my phone, and I'll pull it up and I speak into it, and I just say, then I go back and look at it, and it never quite gets me 100%, but it's close enough so that when I get home and I'm near a computer. So for me, it's like, I'll be to lunch with friends, or I'll be driving a car, or I'll be doing something where both hands are full, and it's like, this is when the idea happens.
Mm-hmm.
Not when I'm sitting conveniently at my computer, but right.
Well, in my other life, before I was an author, we only had our place in the desert as a weekender. Mm-hmm. And then the company I was with had sort of a Enron and went kaboom. Right. And we sold our big place in LA and moved to the desert full time. But when I got another job, it was there. So I did a lot of going back and forth. And I took the train. That didn't work out so well. But then I bought a houseboat. And I lived part-time on this houseboat. It's,
that sounds lovely.
Camping for Jewish girls, okay?
That could be a title of a book right there. But
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And people would say, where do you live? And I used to say Interstate 10, because I was either coming or going from back to LA.
Right.
And when you were saying that you were talking to yourself on the phone. I used to be in the car, and I had a little. You don't want to leave LH, when you really want to, because it'll take you 6 hours.
Right.
So I would have dinner with a friend, wait till the traffic died down, and then drive home on like a Wednesday night.
Right.
So while I'm driving, of course, I'm thinking of things. This is not stories to write yet, but things for work. I used to call myself on the phone
and leave yourself voice messages.
And like an idiot, I'd say, "Holly, this is Holly. Remember to."
Oh, I love it. I love it.
So I'm right there with you. When you get an idea, you got to do something about it.
You have to do something, because my problem, and I'm 62 now, and so I've just started noticing that I have a mind like a steel trap. It's just closed often. And if I get an idea and it's vivid and I know it, an hour from now, I'm going to have no idea. I'll know I had an idea, but I will not be able to pull it up.
I am so happy to know that I am not the only human being. Thank you for admitting that, because I always think, oh my God, senility has set in.
I think that, there's only so much capacity, and the older you get, the more things there are already in file, and you have to kick something out to put something new in. There's only so much information you can store in there.
I think that's true.
And I think that generally we don't like to kick things out.
No.
So this new information coming in, it's like, it just takes me a lot. I've had people call me on the phone and ask a favor of me, of which I am more than happy to do. And then I say to them, and now I need you to text that to me, because when I get home, I'm going to forget we had this phone conversation, and I am not going to do what you asked me to do, not because I don't love you, but because I'm not going to remember we even spoke.
That makes perfect sense to me.
So I've learned these little tricks around that, like send myself a message, have someone send me a message, because if not,
I want to show you something.
Yeah.
You see this?
Yes, I do.
These are notes to myself.
Yeah, trust me.
Add that Shaquanda does. She wades into the water and films the raging river. I mean, I can read these to you and you go, oh my God, I interviewed a crazy person.
No, I do the same thing. In fact, after I've read my, like I get my first draft done and I go through and I'm reading and I realize, in order for this to work, I've got to have said something about it before. And so I create this long list
all the time.
And I'll say, add something about her Italian heritage before chapter 12,
Yeah. Terry, I've got add this probably a dozen times.
Yeah. I think that you and I have a similar, I think we have maybe a similar process. And so because of the way I write, I do a lot of editing, because I go back and I read and it's like, oh, I love the flow of this.
You go along?
I write and then I let it sit. Mm-hmm. And then I read it. And I refuse to touch it. Like I just am reading it and I'm taking notes. Oh, this needs this and this needs that. And then I let it sit again. And then I use those notes and I start my editing process. So.
Well, the manuscript I'm writing now, I opened a chapter and if you weren't looking for it, it'd be obvious unless you were a blind person.
Right.
I didn't like that. Now I've got it. Unless you were looking for it, you wouldn't see it.
Right. And that's, you just have to kind of go back and make all the changes. Right. Well, Susie, this has been great. So, hey guys, if you want to keep this conversation going, head on over to Novels and Latte Book Club on Facebook. There you will have a chance to win a digital copy of The Case of the Croaked Coach. Just tell me something you liked or learned on this podcast. And Susie, I want to thank you so much for being with me today.
This has been a lot of fun. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thank you for listening to Online for Authors, where I, Terry M. Brown, author of character-driven fiction and host of the podcast, introduce readers to characters they'd love to invite to lunch. Tune in next Tuesday for another podcast episode.